You're in bubbles. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Investing Bros. I have a little less energy than normal today, but it's going to be a great show because it is Super Guest Wednesday, and I'm so excited to have Army Piper joining us from the Charts Prime YouTube channel. He's going to be joining us here in just a couple of minutes to break down some technicals that he's seeing using some really cool indicators over there, Charts Prime. But this whole episode, we talked yesterday, the title of yesterday's video was What Would a Hawkish FOMC meeting mean for Bitcoin's price? Today, the title is What does a dovish one mean? And guess what? I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for a lot of people. I am firmly expecting a hawkish report. I'm still expecting 25 basis points, which everyone I think at this point is expecting. But I'm expecting Jerome Powell to come out and say, hey guys, this is not where we want it. We're going to keep getting harsh on this. The economy is not where we want it. There's too many, too much demand right now in the space. We got to kill some of this. But there is an outside possibility with everyone expecting him to come out hawkish. What if Jerome Powell actually comes out pretty dovish, saying that things are better than we thought? Maybe we might see a pivot towards the end of the year. That could be huge for Bitcoin and crypto. So make sure you stay tuned for the entire show as we cover all of that. We also got some interesting news coming out of the sports world that I just saw this morning right before we went live, and that is Tom Brady officially is retired again. And he retired last year, and then like a month, 2 months later, it was like, nah, screw that, I'm coming back. But he says this one's for good. So we'll see if that one sticks. Let me know in chat if you guys, A, know who Tom Brady is, and B, what are your thoughts about Tom Brady retiring for good from the NFL? It's the end of an era for that one, T-Shroom.
That's strange. Is he going to do like a Brett Favre thing where he...
Yeah, like 17 times he comes back out of retirement. I hope not. Not for the sake of his legacy, I hope this is actually for good. It was very heartfelt. He like teared up. He was on the beach. And he pretty much said, I made a really big deal out of last year's retirement. So this year, I'm going to just get straight to the point and not try to make a crazy ordeal out of it. So congratulations to him on an amazing career. I mean, the GOAT of football, at least to this point.
Yeah.
And I hope that he gets a lot of rest and has a lot of fun. But, speaking of, I didn't introduce you. T-Shroom, how are you doing this morning?
Better than you deserve, Tim.
Ooh, what do I deserve? Okay, there we go.
Just switching it up a little bit. All right, here we go with a quote of the day. Let's check it out, guys. You can't control the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sails.
Amen.
Jimmy Dean said that. I'm not sure which Jimmy Dean, but I'd like to think that it was the Jimmy Dean who I eat the breakfast food of, that Jimmy Dean.
How many Jimmy Deans are there?
I don't know. More than I deserve, Tim. Well, that's really, really good. So I hope you guys enjoyed that quote, and hope that you can glean a little bit of wisdom from that and adjust your sails in accordance with the big news that we're going to be getting today. Some other headlines that we'll get into are Cardano Obros update will change Ethereum killer narrative, and here's why. So we're going to talk Cardano in competition with some other layer ones there, and then we're also going to talk about how Jim Cramer is saying that we're in a bull market, and what that might mean for your portfolio, as Jim Cramer's often the reverse indicator of a lot of things.
Here's what I said. I put this last night on the Discord, T-Shroom, and I want to hear what you have to think about this. And I want to hear what chat has to think of this as well. When you really think about it, Jim Cramer might be a genius. Mm-hmm. And here is why. He is living in a constant win-win situation. Because everyone expects everything he says to be wrong, and a lot of people use it as a trading indicator. So when he comes out and says something that ends up being wrong, who cares? We want to see Jim Cramer keep making these predictions. That way we can trade the opposite of them, and we're profitable. So he's going to have automatic job security because he is an indicator that's good for trading. Mm-hmm. But on the off and rare chances that he is correct, and everyone goes the opposite direction, he gets to say, I was right, you were wrong.
Yeah.
There's just no losing for Jim Cramer. It's actually a genius marketing ploy that him and his team have come up with. That is great job security, and the few times he's right, he gets to have a little bit of bragging rights.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sweet ordeal he's got going on over there.
It is, and CNBC loves him. I guess they they keep getting good ratings with him, and I don't know it's interesting. But we do have a guest.
Yeah, we're gonna jump to that in just a second. We're just opening the show. We're gonna go through our community stuff, and then we'll be good.
For sure.
Last thing I'll say about Jim Cramer. The other thing is, in case anyone's wondering, he is not talking about crypto. He is talking about the stock market. He's not a big fan of crypto at the moment. I think he said more recently that you should dump all of it because he thinks gold is taking over. So for all the crypto fans out there, I think this is a major bearish news. It doesn't all the way apply over to crypto. With that said, though, let's just join in with our community a little bit. Let's do some special readings. I want to start off with our Discord members. I want to give some special shout outs. The first one I want to give a special shout out to is Crypto Sec Guy. He's also a moderator here in chat, so show him some love. Cryptex, another moderator, is also over in our Discord. And let's go back up to the top. We also want to give a special shout out to Danny G. These are the 3 special shout outs of our Discord members today. Thank you guys for being a part of our group. Let's read some of the ones in chat here on YouTube, though. First comment of the day was Mr. J with the nice waving hands. Thank you so much, Mr. J. Henry C. Hernandez is here in chat. Who else is here? Joe Watkins, Crypto Mini Bike, Bob Saucy. I think that might be the first time I've read that name. Welcome, Bob. Mr. Bitcoin is here. Crypto JMP, Mike Play, Max PP, V Slim, Justin Eubank, Sack Nasty 86, Mr. Bell 15, Marco 159, Servando Estrada, and Ian McMillan. Welcome, everybody. If I didn't read your name, that does not mean that I don't love you. It is just time to go ahead and move on with the show, but thank you so much for joining us in chat. As we're about to join in and jump on some technical analysis here, if you're excited for that, go ahead and smash that like button. That's that 4-fingered mitten right below you. We got 63 people watching, but only 24 of those likes. We definitely can get those numbers up. And again, you should be very excited because today, special treat, I'm not going to be going too much of the charts. I'll be asking some questions and going through with him, but we've got Army Piper joining the show, going to bring us some special TA for the day. So I want to go ahead and bring him on. How are you doing this morning, Army Piper?
Brother, I am doing great. Thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it from both of you.
Yeah, dude, we're super excited. Again, I'm trying to learn more right now about Charts Prime. For those of you who don't know, it's an indicator package you can purchase similar to like what Luxalgo or Market Cipher, but it's got some really cool things. One of the things I like about it is as I'm going through it, it has a lot to offer that you don't necessarily find with other indicators. So it's very helpful with some of those things. But why don't we go ahead and break down? Let's just start from a grand 30,000 foot view. What are you looking at right now on the Bitcoin chart right now? And then we'll dive deeper into some more minuscule questions dealing with current events.
Excellent. Well, let me go ahead and let me know if you guys can see this screen.
Loud and clear.
Boom.
Perfect. All right. So what we're looking at here right now, we're currently coming in at about $23,085, bouncing around that $23,000 range. But what we have here, this is the multi-time frame graded support and resistance indicator, and it pulls data from the 4-hour, the 1-hour, and the daily to give you support and resistance lines here. And so in this way, we can instead of looking at multiple time frames at once, I can look at one single time frame that I want to focus on and get all of that data from the other time frames to give me where we have support and resistance. This dash white line you see here is actually the number one. It's the strongest support resistance line on here for the 1 hour. They are numbered from 1 up to 5. You can make it up to 10, so on and so forth. But this one's the number one. And you'll see right here that will be coming in at 20,150 right now. So I do think that we're going to have some good support down here. But notably, what I want to point out is this big green line coming across. And this is the dynamic reactor. It's kind of like a moving average and a VWAP on crack, if you will. So it's very powerful when we get touches on it. You can see over here. Earlier, once we broke above it, that was really where we launched at. And when it starts to get thin, also tells you that there's a lot of stuff coming. And as it goes up higher, the momentum, it gets wider. So a lot of data in this one ribbon that we get here. But what I'm seeing for today is I went back and looked at previous data in the charts for FOMCs before. So let's go back to December and look at that one. And I will show you what I had there.
Awesome.
So this FOMC that we previously had back on December 14th, and I'm going to turn on my zones there, and we will pull this up and show you what we were working with. So in this data for the FOMC, and I'm not sure why it's not pulling up for me. I can pull it to the dude and show you basically what it is, just to make it quick and easy. I had it all broke down in there, but if we pull this rectangle on, this is about the range of volatility during the market previous opens before. There was a run up in December where it pumped up at market open into the release of the rate hikes. And then we got a significant change of direction, reversal of price action at the speech. And that is what I expect to see today. If we look at this green range right here, this green range box is exactly what we had for November and December's volatility range from top to bottom. So looking at how this is going to work in here, this is about a 5% price range in this box here. But notably, what I want to also point out is, ironically, these lines that you see running across here are predictive ranges. And predictive ranges print whenever we enter into a new one. As you can see back here, we had a much wider range because of the price action when it moved into that area. And in the price ranges here for this predictive price range, you can see that a majority of our price action tends to occur between the two gold bands. It's the trading pocket of our proprietary predictive ranges that we have. And so we've gotten a lot of support off of this lower gold band. But what I found interesting when I looked at the previous volatility mark tops and bottoms for the FOMC day, it fell within our upper resistance band and our fake out breakout, which would be the bottom of that predictive range. And so we're running very tight with our normal volatility range inside of our predictive ranges. So I suspect that today, I'm going to leave this box up throughout the day, but I suspect that our price is not going to move even with all the volatility outside of this box today. And that includes even if we get the 25 basis points, which is what's expected right now. I don't believe that we're going to bounce out of here anywhere in today's trade market day. So
you think so? Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, what was the bottom? What's the bottom price action? I think the top is putting you up close to 24,000. What's the bottom on that one?
Yeah, the bottom on that's going to come in about 22.5.
Yeah.
The top on that is going to come in at about 23,780.
Okay,
23,750.
That makes sense. So here, let's kind of play through this. And I know like today we're going to talk a little bit. I want to get your opinion on what happens. Let's just pause and think like, okay, what if Jerome Powell ends up being dovish? But let's say everything goes like expected. We get those 25 basis points, and we get a little bit of a hawkish narrative from Jerome Powell, pretty much saying, yeah, and the economy's not where we wanted. Inflation's still out of control. There's way too much demand in this space right now. We have to keep rates high and keep them high for a long period of time. We're still seeing a recession coming. If he says all those things, you think we're waiting until tomorrow till we get a good dump? And again, I'd love the price action you had there. I think you said 20,100. I have us going maybe even a little lower towards 19.6. You think that that bigger dip waits till tomorrow, or do you think that potentially by the end of the day, crypto and Bitcoin starts to fall?
So previously we've had after the December, and I did find that data on here on my chart. I had it hidden. We had a move of 7.26% following the December market. And in the November market, we had a move following that to the upside. And let me pull that up here and look at it. That upside in November was, let me see. Yeah, that upside was 5.58%. So even in the following 48 hours after the 50 basis point and the 75 basis point, we didn't have more than a 5 to 7% move in the following 48 hours after the FOMC data in the speech.
No, so why do you think that is? Why do you think it waits for the next day until it starts to drop?
I think that a lot of people just pull their money and they hold it, or you've got degens that may be trying to catch the bottom of the market volatility that day. And then I believe that once everything starts to shake out and people get a comfortable idea of where we're going, they look for that lower high or that higher low. And that's when they start to move back into the markets and get risk on again. I think a lot of smart traders are not really looking to try to do the volatility unless they're doing some quick scalps or something like that. We've got some members in our community that said they plan on scalping this, but I pointed out to them that while, yeah, we can get a move of a spike of about 2.7 to 3% in that window of time from the data release to the speech, that's not a lot for the volatility that could wipe you out in a trade. So it's best sometimes to just sit there, watch the game, and then decide, yep, I think I'm going to play the sport after I understand how it's played. So
that makes a lot of sense. Well, let's talk about this. Let's say, and I know, so you're saying no matter what happens, what you're expecting is whether we get a major dovish response or hawkish response, we're going to stay in that zone between about 22.5 and then 23.7. What happens in your opinion if Jerome Powell does come out here and sounds a little dovish, we get our 25 basis points, as anyone expects, but then he kind of says, you know what, inflation's looking a lot better, and we're looking at early reports that that soft landing we've been hoping to have ends up coming to fruition, and we're even expecting towards the end of the year, we might be able to actually pivot and start cutting some of these rates. Let's just pretend for a second that's what he says at the press conference. What are some targets above the $24,000 level that's been our most recent resistance? What are some levels you're looking at above if a bull run does continue for Bitcoin?
Okay, so I share my screen again here.
Yep.
I do have some zones that I've marked off here. This first zone here, this green one, is where I've actually put my extremes at. And I'm looking at that at about 24,000 up to 24,900, 25. However, if we look at the predictive ranges on here, and let me drop off my my multi-time frame graded support resistance indicator so I can focus on the predictive ranges here. If we look at the predictive ranges here on this one, we're currently trading at the delta line. If you consider this blue line in the middle of our predictive range, the delta, the median of this entire price range, you can see that our gold band that I told you we trade in is where we are for this trade right now, or for this price action right now. And when we look at this, it's that upper gold band is coming in at 25,350. So I believe that is going to be our extreme high, and our extreme low, I have to say, if we break this dynamic reactor on the 4 hour, which is major support. That's why it lines up with the bottom of my red band here, which is my extreme bottom, which is coming in at 22.4 down to 21.6. If we break that dynamic reactor, I'm looking at 20,500 for the bottom, which would still keep us inside of our predictive ranges they work flawlessly. So one thing I will point out here is on our oscillator here, you can see that we had an overbought indication here, and we also had the downtrend. There's a little ribbon twist here, and when that happens, you tend to get price direction change, which we absolutely had occur there. You can see that. We hit a momentum dot here, which tells you that momentum is picking up, and that was on this candle here before we dropped all the way down to the wick of about 22.5. But we are getting really tight on the ribbon here. You can see we got the ribbon twist and we got the momentum dot, but then it leveled out here and it's getting thin. And the last time that we had that happen on the 4 hour time frame is going to be back here, right here. And that is when we had the last time that we had the right after the FOMC numbers in November. It was the last time they got really thin like this, and that led to a pump on the markets of 6% move. So following 48 hours. So I'm starting to see a lot of similarity right here in our oscillator, where it looks like we could be getting that tight movement before a big move in the price range. And I do believe that it's going to be the dovish scenario today that we are talking about of 25 basis points, that we get some volatility within my predicted area here, but that ultimately on the 4 hour time frame, we stay within our trade bands of like I said, the top 25.4, bottom about 20,500. So that's what I'm seeing there, guys.
I mean, that does. I think even as I'm listening to you, that makes a lot of sense. Even as we're unpacking this stuff, I like a lot of people are calling for levels a lot lower, but that more conservative view might be just the case. Because again, at this point, price does, smart money does not like to be overextended and get caught, for lack of a better way to put it, with their pants down. They like to price things in. They like to move markets. So I think everyone, again, 25 basis points, that's just about a done deal. It's the remarks, but I think most people are expecting some negative remarks from Jerome Powell. So maybe we don't fall as far as what some people are expecting, and maybe we are able to cover even staying above 22.5. Maybe if we do drop 21.5, and when you think about it, that's really just, if we only lost $1,000 over the next week, that is not that much. Before we move on, T-Shim, do you have any thoughts, any questions for him about Bitcoin? I want to ask him about some altcoin stuff as well.
Well, it'll be interesting to see the movement of the S&P and the NASDAQ relative to Bitcoin, because I think that there's been this growing narrative, and I think that it's true, is that Bitcoin may have bottomed before the S&P, and that stocks have further down to go, but that crypto, specifically Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, actually already saw the bottom and then it's behind, because the trading psychology is a little bit different from crypto. As we know, we talk about this a lot. I think the folks that are in right now are much more long-term hodlers. and their hands are strong, right? They're not looking to sell big quantities. Of course, you're always going to have a percentage of day traders that are in there that are going to buy and sell no matter what. But I think the guys that are keeping it above 20,000, 21,000, and some of the prices and some of the levels we're looking at right now, I think that they're going to be in for the long haul, and that even and anything that Jerome could say today, short of just screaming into the microphone, sell, 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 I think is gonna be tolerated and is gonna be absorbed. Any kind of hawkish, overly hawkish sentiment is going to be absorbed by crypto holders. Now, you take that same scenario over to the stock side, and they're much more jumpy, right? They're handling millions. It's a totally different situation. They're handling millions and billions of dollars for their clients, and if there's any kind of indication that the market's going to go lower, they want to be the one with their finger on the sell button first, right? So that they can get out for their clients quickly. Whereas on crypto, I think you do have a decent amount of custodial and institutional investors, but it's much more just people like you and me and big guys and big whales who just believe in the coin. They believe in it. And I don't think that there's as much belief in the names in the New York Stock Exchange right now.
No, that's a very fair point. Army Piper, I'm going to ask you, and you can start preparing this. I'm going to ask you about some altcoins here in just a second, but I wanted to check in with chat because there was a couple interesting remarks here. Eric Wallen, he's a member over in Discord as well. He said Jerome is a permahawk, and it is seen like that. I want to remind people, back in the beginning of 2022, he was not. He was a perma dove, and we kept expecting and hoping he would come out and at least be a somewhat hawkish and restrictive. And he kept acting like, oh no, everything's fine. We just have to wait for the data to come in to tell us it's bad. And all of us knew everything was bad, but he stayed dovish, and that's part of the problem. What we're in right now is he didn't get hawkish enough at the beginning. So at some point he will flip, but I agree with you. Recently he has been a perma hawk. Let's see what else is happening here. Freedom Advocate said, honestly, I don't really care where the market goes. I'm in a hood. I think he meant hodl position or hold position.
Good,
but he said hood position, or maybe he said maybe not good right now. So I'm good to the end of next cycle. I might add some new money to trade with soon. Very interesting stuff. It'll be cool to watch what Jerome Powell does this afternoon. And again, I think before we move on, and we're going to keep going back into altcoins. T-Shroom, is the plan still for you to go live today for the Fed announcement?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. So I'm going to do it. I'm not expecting a ton of people to jump on, but I'm not going to stay on too long. I say that now.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But as of now, I plan to go live. Also, we got a question from Freedom Advocate asking me what's my weekly workout routine. Oh. Honestly, I pretty much it's not going to sound great, but I rely on my girlfriend Amanda to get me into the gym. She's my motivator. She gets me in there, and we worked out yesterday, feeling a little sore, but I am so fascinated by crypto and editing and learning new things about AI and working with AI that I spend so much time and I get caught up, and I don't get in the gym as much as I should. But I will go live today for the Fed announcement. It's starting at 2. So the Fed, I'll probably go live at 1:55, and then we'll see the print of the decision, and then I'll hang out and do a little bit of analysis. If I think that this might be, actually, I'll find out by the end of the stream if this is one that has a report attached to it, because some of them do and some of them don't have more comprehensive reports. I would imagine as the first of the year, there may be a report attached to this decision. And so there'll be a lot to dive into. And then we'll hang out and we'll listen to the Jerome Powell speech, get a gauge of whether it's hawkish or dovish. And from then, we'll let it fly.
Boom. Well, let's go back. Let's throw it back over to Army Piper. What are some altcoins that you're looking at right now that you're super excited about? What are the ones that you like to focus on? And should we be expecting, again, similar to Bitcoin, more sideways, more to the upside, more to the downside? What are your thoughts about altcoins at this point?
So I let me show you one thing real fast, and then I'll get to those. I actually do have so there is a trend that we've been in lately on Bitcoin that I do want to show when we're talking about the hawkish and dovish, people saying a lower lows coming in. This is a regression trend tool. It's a free tool here on TradingView, but we've been in this upward channel right now on a regression trend, which normally breaks to the downside. So there is some reason for people to be like, there's another low coming. However, if I go over here to the daily chart and I show you this long-term scale that I've been watching, this is going to be a Fibonacci channel going all the way back to the history of Bitcoin. And you can see that every bear market, we have touched the golden pocket here. There's that crash from that thing,
and which we cannot speak about.
Yeah, which we will not speak about. But if you take a look here, we hit into the golden pocket and stayed there for the first time ever in Bitcoin's history during this bear market drop. And once we broke out of it here, we came back for a perfect retest on the bottom of the golden pocket. So what I am seeing is that worst case scenario based on where we currently at are in price action, even if we do get a pullback drop, that's going to be coming in probably near this monthly low support that we have here on the 786 Fibonacci, which is currently coming in at about 16.7 down to 16.5. That's a pretty good double bottom from these previous lows that we had back in December also, which would give us a bounce on the 786 and just go up from there. So that's just one of the things I wanted to show. I've been tracking this for a long, long time on my Fib channel. So pretty interesting, but yeah. So as far as altcoins, I am watching Polygon Matic, Near Protocol, obviously Ethereum. I'm a huge Ethereum bull. I have more Ethereum than I do Bitcoin at this point. So, which was a good move because the Bitcoin that I did move over to Ethereum was right before Bitcoin did its new lower low, and Ethereum said, "Yeah, I'm not going with you, bro." So, so I actually turned out better on that than I thought. But yeah, Polygon Matic, Near Protocol, Chainlink, and Algorand. Algorand's one that I'm watching too. Then of course I'm waiting to see what's going on with XRP and their whole SEC case, which I think we may hear something on that in March if I'm tracking correctly. So,
do you think we'll hear a final announcement in March, or do you think that we just get more updates? Because we got a little bit of an update yesterday, but what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that by March we're going to hear that there's a settlement, and I hope that I'm right. I don't know if you guys know, but in the Army, I'm a data analyst, and my job is to collect a whole bunch of information, aggregate it, analyze it, multi-source confluence it, and then look for the prediction of how that could play out based on previous things. And I just think that XRP has way too many things going with the ISO 20022, the international usage that they're being used for right now. There's a lot of things going on with Chainlink and Swift for multi-branching on the blockchain for international transfer funds, which I'm sure is going to have a lot to do with Stellar Lumens and XRP. And so I just think that for the sake of XRP's position within the international banking community, I think the SEC is going to find that they have to back off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, because here just a month ago we were talking about a potential settlement that that Ripple was going to do with the SEC, and it was going to be more of a negative thing for XRP. But now you're flipping and saying, hey, maybe we're going to get a settlement from the SEC. That could be really big for crypto, and that would be really cool. I'm wondering, do you have any coins? So that was great. We got to listen to some coins that you're looking at. Are there any trade setups that you're seeing that are interesting that you're talking to your community about?
Yes. Let me pull that up here and I will show you what I'm doing. I actually have a strategy called the Piper Sniper strategy. And
I like it.
Yeah. And so it uses a low time frame to a high time frame. And then I also have a high time frame to a low time frame. So let me share this with you here and I'll show you some things that I'm watching over here. So one of the things that I'm going to be watching for today is on Ethereum actually. And so what I'm watching there is we actually have, and you can see all my alerts set on here, but on the on the high time frame, which is a 4 hour here on the left, we got this trend running, and I am looking at about 1540 to 1550 to get into a long position. That's going to be in confluence with the regression trend tool that we have here, and it's also going to be on the dynamic reactor. We did get, and like Bitcoin, we did get the momentum dot pulling into our oscillator here. But what I'm seeing the most of is that we have money flow coming in off of the DMF. That's the dynamic money flow. It's a free indicator. And so the money flow is still coming in, even though we're going sideways. So I think that if we get the volatility today, it's actually going to pull down into this regression trend that we have going on here. And then it's going to coincide. You can see it's beautiful confluence onto the dynamic reactor. And the last time that we did that on the 4 hour was here when we broke above it. We got a lot of resistance on it. And once we broke above it, it just took off. Matter of fact, if we look at Ethereum on the daily chart, which is on the right, and the reason that I use a daily split next to the reason that I use the daily look split next to the 4 hour is because I can get a higher time frame trend going on, and then I can look at how we're seeing this. So let me pull up the daily here, and I will show you what happened the last time that we came in contact with the previous times that we came in contact with our dynamic reactor as resistance. You can see we rejected here, we rejected here, we got above it, it retested, and that's what everyone got really bullish about. It was a bull trap. But this time we broke well above it. So even on the 4 hour, if we come back and we test that, I do believe that that is going to be a good entry for a long position. Just because we're sitting above it really, really well on Ethereum. So that's one of the things that I'm watching for today. I would like to see it come down here on that 4 hour time frame. About that, like I said, the 1550 range, going to hit this regression trend. It's also going to be in here. And it's plus, like I said, we're still inside of our trade range, of our predicted range here. We're in the upper half of it. There's your delta, and that's that upper gold band I told you about. So that's one that I'm watching for. We're going to be doing a roundtable in our Discord, because we do a bunch of stuff in our Discord, just so you're tracking. It's not just indicators that you get with Chart Prime. We give live free classes twice a week on how to use our indicators, strategy, settings, all that. And then on Wednesdays in our Discord community, we do a roundtable where it's a bunch of us get together. We look at trades, start setting up strategies, and we explain our strategy, so on and so forth. So that's one of the things I'm going to be doing today. And I will be literally digging in on deep TA, looking at what trades on the low time frame that people can get into. We got a lot of scalpers in our community. So yeah, so over there we do a lot of stuff in our Discord community that comes free with this. We also do crypto trade signals and Forex trade signals that are all included in the subscription to Chart Prime. So
cool. Awesome. That is super cool. I love looking at that ETH chart, because that's something that T. Schumer and I were looking at over the last couple of days. Ethereum didn't get the same type of real momentum pumps that the other coins got during this recent rally. And looking at where it is closer to 20 daily SMA and looking at some other things, I think Ethereum might be one of the during the next rally, the next pump, watch for Ethereum to be one of the leaders of this space. Maybe not the leader. It's too large to be the biggest mover. But when we're talking about the larger coins, when we're talking about top 20, watch Ethereum have a nice little run and lead the next rally. Well, that sounds great, man. Are you busy? Do you need to leave, or are you able to stay with us through the news portion of the show?
I usually watch you guys anyways. Even when I'm doing my own show, I still keep you on my phone just to help you guys out. So I'm gonna stay here and watch you live. I'll just sit here and be quiet and enjoy the greatness of Investing Bros.
Sounds good. Well, Army Piper, thank you so much, man, for joining us. And like you guys said, if he doesn't chime back in here, you guys can go follow him right now. He's over on Charts Prime YouTube channel. We put the link for that down below in the description. A lot of cool stuff that he's doing. Very, very good friend of the show, and we'll have him on again very soon. Thank you so much, man, for coming.
I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for having me. This was an honor. So
yes, sir.
Definitely.
Well, T. Shroom, it is 9:33, so that means the market's been open now for about 3 minutes. Do you see anything popping off over there before we jump into some of these news stories?
Yeah, let's jump into that really quickly. There's definitely been a good market open so far that we want to cover. So let me get that going for us here. Energy opening up lower, so good sign for inflation. Bad sign for my long positions on natural gas. Natural gas, take a look here. Natural gas taking another big crapper here this morning. So, down 0.4%. And let's keep moving. Oil down 0.2%. The indexes are opening up red today, but not by much. The Dow is leading the way lower, so you're seeing a rotation potentially out of security, maybe into risk, but overall, I mean, it's selling. So, there's not. If I'm cash on the sidelines, I'm keeping it in the sidelines today, and I think that's kind of what you're seeing reflected in these very modest movements, not really moving too much in either direction. But let's keep moving. Same pretty much in crypto, although Atom is popping off big time here, up 6.2%, and it's moving. It's moving all around, coming down and up. AVAX down 3%. I believe that's leading the market lower for crypto, at least on my watch list. Also notable is Tron and Litecoin are green, while the rest of the chart is red, other than Atom. There must have been some fundamental news on Atom I didn't see it this morning, but I'll try to take a second.
I'm looking to see if I can find anything.
Okay, excellent. We've got our best dog on the hunt over there. Tim's looking for it. Gold metals now. Gold coming in green, silver, red. So let's take a look here at gold very quickly. Actually very interesting. So it is getting bought higher from that big wick down, kind of confirming that it doesn't want to get sold. The price of gold is continuing higher here. You may even be able to anticipate it getting up another 0.9 here before the week's over, but that's contingent upon a lot of things, including the Fed. But also, I'll remind you guys again, the ECB and the Bank of England are issuing their first rate decisions of 2023 on Thursday. So you get a 3-for-1 punch to the face for the market. So be careful investing today. I would definitely be cautious if I am an experienced trader. I think this is going to be an experienced trader only time to trade. So let's take a look here at the large caps. Amazon leading lower. They're all red across the board. Google trying to tick green, but we'll see if it can even stay that way. But yeah, Amazon leading the market lower today. But as you can see here, the big tech stocks have been making a pretty big comeback ever since January 6th. And the narrative for the big tech has been a comeback, especially in names like Tesla, which was super oversold. You can see down here in the RSI and the daily charts, very very oversold for several days before it got a buy rating and started moving up to the upside. But now it's kind of trying to figure out what it wants to do ahead of the Fed decision, and just hanging out here in that mid-section cloud for Lux Algo. Well, our bond yields are coming in lower. Folks are looks like they're trying to find a little bit of security there in U.S. Treasuries, and also the Dixie's coming in lower. Okay, so folks moving into Treasuries a little bit this morning, and therefore the yield coming down because there's less of an incentive. It's getting bought, you don't need as much yield. That's the psychology of the bond market. Cannabis, pretty mixed, but mostly down. CGC is 0. I don't know what's going on, why it's exactly 0. But Tilray and the main cannabis ETF are down 0.6 and 0.7 respectively. Our mid-cap tech stocks, which is just a quick little sampling of them, by no means comprehensive, is pretty mixed across the board, with DraftKings leading higher and Jenny leading lower there, down 2.7%. Your oil producers are also mixed. And that's going to be your market open there, guys. So across the board, you're seeing not too much movement from one side to the other, and that is to be expected ahead of one of the biggest decision from our regulators so far this year in 2023. So it makes sense. Not too many people are playing their cards in this day. Before the decision comes. And as Army Piper showed us, there'll be an entire day where either the market will move in the opposite direction, that it will actually move the rest of the week, or it will just kind of trade flat and not make any kind of indication. So we can expect that it's just going to be a lot of flat, not a lot of volatility the first couple hours. But it's anybody's game. It depends what comes out of the mouth of Jerome. That precedent could easily be shattered.
Yeah, I think even thinking through some stuff he was showing on his chart and just walking through what Jerome Powell can do. Once again, in case you guys haven't heard this enough, we're going to say it again. 25 basis points. That is happening. Everyone expects it. I don't think anybody is reasonably thinking it's going to be either 50 or 0. It's going to be 25. The question is what comes out of his mouth at the press conference. And I think most people are expecting hawkish. So for those reasons, we're not going to see this plummet down towards whether you think whether we think we're going to go down to 20,000 or 19,600, or whether you think we're going and setting new lows or double bottoming. That's going to take time. If that's going to happen, that's going to take time. I think the only thing that can really just shake Bitcoin and crypto and the stock market and make any type of explosive movement is if for some weird reason Jerome Powell comes out dovish. Now, what's the likelihood of that happening? Very, very slim. Pretty much none. But the potential is there. And if that were to happen, that's when we're talking about, some levels we looked at on Bitcoin the last couple of days above us. Not just on about 25,000, but you guys have seen the volume here. I guess what I can do is show them here really quickly, T-shirt. If you want to show my screen really quickly, we'll pull up that fixed range volume profile tool again and show you guys what it looks like if we were to break bullish over here. Look at that right there. Once we get above 25.2, there's just nothing stopping all the way till 28. So again, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a good push from Jerome Powell, or it's going to take time. But if we do get that and we can get above, first of all, this $24,000 of resistance and then get above that 25.2, there's some room to kind of run with the bullish narrative versus when you're talking about the more bearish narrative, we're kind of hovering right here, literally right at the peak with the fixed range volume profile. And then right below us, that 25 or the 22.5 is hovering right there as good support. If we can't hold that and bears start to make a move, it's a little bit of a process, yes, but they can start pushing us down towards 21,000. They can start pushing us. The level I'm looking at is this key valley as we start to make a push up this peak. This key valley at 19.6, that's where, or 19.7, that's where I've been keeping my eyes watching for. I expect us to get down there that far, but don't expect that to happen like by tomorrow morning or even potentially this week. This could start, if we get some hawkish narrative from Jerome Powell, it could start a multiple weeks process of moving back to the downside. But what's really key, and to take away this fixed range volume profile, what's really key is to watch where do we end up bottoming out, because the last bottom we had was the bottom here at 15,452. As long as we stay above that reasonably, what we're going to be starting a pattern of is setting higher lows. We're already setting higher highs at the moment. If we can confirm by setting higher lows as well, watch this actually be very, very significant as a beginning marker of a very slow process of a bull market.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really, really good. So let's go ahead and get into our stories here. We're going to start off with the big Cardano story that we talked about a little bit in the front end of the show, and that is that Cardano's Ouroboros upgrade will change Ethereum killer narrative.
It's Ouroboros. I looked at that. You might as well not even be there. Ouroboros is the way that they're pronouncing this one.
Ouroboros.
You got to watch it with the community. People really don't like when things are mispronounced for some reason.
Ouroboros.
Ouroboros.
What? Yeah. Excellent, Tim. Tim is our pronouncer extraordinaire, and we want to make sure that we get things right. So I appreciate that. And I'm probably gonna have to say it like 100 times during reading these details, so it's good to get it right. Ouroboros, Genesis upgrade. Well, okay, off to a great start. Ouroboros Genesis upgrade will seek to address issues of costless simulation and bootstrapping problem of the protocol, while mitigating the threat of long-range attacks in a decentralized open environment. These upgrades will notably position Cardano as a highly functional proof-of-stake protocol whose security is more closely aligned with that of the Bitcoin blockchain. Maybe you've heard of it. None of the existing Ethereum killers, including Solana, Avalanche, or Polkadot, have these features. JED, the most collateralized stablecoin on Cardano, was launched, and the protocol's sidechain toolkit made its way to the network, pitching the blockchain as one of the most versatile in this current blockchain ecosystem. So a very big bullish narrative here mounting for Cardano in the early months of 2023. Yeah. And yet the price is still not unpairing from Ethereum and Bitcoin, still generally trading like it. But what I will say is I have seen Cardano start to when its bull runs do start, and I'm talking about like intraday, I'm not talking about like multi-month. When those bull runs do start to pick up, they pick up strong. We saw a couple. I think it was Monday or Sunday. Cardano had a 5% pop just out of nowhere, which was pretty good, pretty reassuring that there's definitely still a lot of buy action, a lot of buy pressure there for Cardano. Well, it's not all about Cardano, guys, even though it seems like it this week. Man, there's been so much Cardano news. But Kathy Wood is actually in the news as well. We don't hear from her as much these days because she's such a big bull. You know, we've been going into a quote-unquote recession and bear market. You know, maybe her opinion has been as valued. She's more of a cheerleader than a wet towel. What do they say? A bucket of wet water to wake you up. So it is Kathy Wood. She sees Bitcoin rising above. She still sees Bitcoin rising above 500,000 and lauds its resilience after the FTX collapse. So, you know, that is a really good point from her. You know, I ultimately agree with her to some extent. I think 500,000 is an audacious number to be throwing out there in a bear market. But you know, that's her style, and she's sticking to it. Let's keep. Well, Tim, did you have any thoughts about that? What do you think about 500,000?
Yeah, so Kathy Woods has been making these calls for a while, and Kathy Woods is very, very, very smart. I would love to hear more of why she thinks so high. She's been talking about this for well over a year, though, how bullish, ultra bullish, and she does lay out some if-then statements. If this happens, we could see Bitcoin go to blah, 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 blah. It's been kind of noted. I think she's been kind of dogged a little more recently, you know, because a lot of her predictions haven't necessarily come true. So I'm a little hesitant on this, but she is right in the sense of when she does her math, because she's very good at math. Mm-hmm. If we can get certain things to happen, then Bitcoin's price will be at 500. I agree. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to do it this next bull cycle or not. There definitely is a strategy for that. There's a route to that. I think the more realistic top for Bitcoin this next bull market is going to be somewhere between 100,000 and about 175. I actually talked about that on one of our private AMAs over on Discord. I have a chart with some observations there, but it would take a lot, I think, to push Bitcoin closer to 500,000 this next bull market. Is it possible? Absolutely. But I do think that she kind of is a little bit more of like I don't know if she's ever outwardly said that she's a Bitcoin maxi, but she definitely sometimes kind of talks with the same type of sentiment as Bitcoin maxis. And she's been wrong, or at least somewhat wrong, a lot recently.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, Tim. And you mentioned that you were speaking in the Discord. Is there a way that people could get into that Discord, get access to it?
I'm so glad you asked. Well, we at the moment, and we have a big announcement coming. I'm going to be making a video today about that. Some big updates coming. But right now, if you're wanting to get in on this very exclusive Discord, we have a Patreon account down below that you can sign up. We got 3 different tiers that you can choose whatever's best for you. All 3 of them are phenomenal. And that will give you access to our great Discord. A lot of great conversations happening over there. Really cool things. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure you sign up. And again, stay tuned. Stay tuned because we got some big announcements coming later this week about that same Discord that you guys are going to love to hear. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to get into this next story, and Army Piper's still on Zoom with us. So, Army, if you have any thoughts, feelings, explosions, or any corrections for us, anything like that, feel free to unmute yourself and just let out a ooh, which as an Army kindred, I will know exactly what you're saying. You want to interject. Well, this next story here is heading over to Jim Cramer, and he's saying that we're in a bull market, and he urges investors to buy the dip. So is anything ever more bearish than Jim Cramer saying buy the dip, Tim?
Is there anything more bearish than that? There are other things way more bearish than that, but it's a top 3, I would say.
What's more bearish than that?
Let me think. What's more bearish than Jim Cramer? I would say Gary Gensler is more bearish. I think when Gary Gensler gets to talk about crypto, that's more bearish. FOMC meetings when Jerome Powell gets really super hawkish, that can be more bearish. But then it's Jim Cramer, number 3, coming in number 3 there.
Do you know of anybody who has faded all of Jim Cramer's calls? Because I hear
there's a whole group. It's a thing. There's a thing that's literally like it communicates every single time he makes a call so that people can trade the exact opposite, and they are profitable. Wow. So if you guys are looking for a good trade strategy, it does work.
That is pretty sad, I've got to say.
I would love to see which one would be better. Would you make more money trading the opposite of Jim Cramer, or just mirroring Nancy Pelosi? Which one is more profitable trading strategy?
That's a good question.
We might have to find a way to test that.
Yeah. Maybe incorporate some of our canine friends.
Ooh, a little teaser.
We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows? Well, we can go ahead and just kind of scan the news. You didn't see anything for Atom at all?
No, I was looking. I asked chat if anyone saw anything, because unless you're really ingrained in the community, which I'm not ingrained in the Atom community, it's hard to get things right as they happen. A lot of times you're waiting for things to come out. So I checked all of my sources, and I'm not seeing anything major kind of popping up recently for Atom. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, something else that we wanted to hit on today that was going to be pretty big was the Eurozone inflation. And that came in a little hot today. So the year-over-year Eurozone inflation, the actual print was, there we go, 5.2. The forecast was 5.1, previously 5.2. So not that hot. I mean, all of their economists and their talking heads over there are going to be able to make a pretty good case for why that's not that scary, but it is 0.1 over the forecast. So they're getting something wrong over there. Something is still sticky. Prices are still sticky over there. And, they're not exactly sure how to remedy that. But overall, you'd have to say that this isn't that bad. It's core inflation. Let's see if there's anything else. Inflation rate year over year flash. So slightly different. That one came in bullish. So that one came in as a beat of the forecast, and their unemployment rate came in a little higher than forecasted, so that's bearish. And then you start getting into the Italian specific details that we don't want to get into necessarily, but overall this is important because it's the euro area. The ECB is the second largest central bank in the world that dictates the most amount of money other than the United States Federal Reserve, of which we hold so dear. So there is really not a whole lot to kind of scare you or give you any kind of reason to buy in today coming from this data. But I'd say it's kind of right on track, because you get a pretty bullish headline, bullish print here, where this inflation year over year for January is beating the forecast, but then the core inflation missed. So came in a little higher. So interesting data over there from the euro area, and we'll see how the ECB responds on Thursday, because we said it already in the show, but actually I'll go to the calendar and just show you guys so we can have a little bit of a good anticipation of what's to come through the rest of the year. Just kind of pace ourselves. I mean, the Fed wants to get up to, they've said they want to get up as high as 5.25, right? That's the upper band. And so we need to keep that in mind. 5.25 is kind of their, what is it, the terminal rate that they're saying is in the cards. But that's on the American side. Across the pond, as they say, Thursday we will get a double rate hike decision. Now they could collude together. It may not be the worst idea to collude together to just do offsetting rate hikes to where one's bullish, one's bearish, so that it's ultimately a wash. But more than likely, they're not going to do that. They're just going to keep with what is best for their own respective individual economies. So that's really, but that's important, because this could potentially make or break any kind of bullish or bearish tailwind that the Americans are able to build up on our side. So the scenario there would be, if there's really good bullish outcome, really dovish outcome from today, which again we're going to go live at 1:55 to cover Jerome Powell's decision and then the speech. If that's really bullish and the market gets going and gets bought even tomorrow, but then the ECB and the Bank of England come in really hawkish, that could potentially offset the positive momentum that was being built up over here domestically. Tim,
offset maybe not big delay, because what's going to happen in the United States is going to have a bigger impact with the U.S. dollar being the
of course
the currency that the world kind of judges everything on.
But it will
definitely affect if Europe and the UK make a decision. It will definitely have impact. So like again, if we see something majorly done with the United States, and then we see hawkish in Europe, then it's like, all right, so what's going to happen is all that dovishness from the United States is going to get dampered. Mm-hmm. It still will move to the upside. That's still going to be good long term for Bitcoin and crypto and stocks and everything else. But it definitely will damper it if the Europe and the United States or UK go hawkish. And what's going to be really terrible is if the United States when I say terrible, it's a great buying opportunity. if the United States comes out hawkish and then the Europe and UK come out hawkish, now you just get the nice 1-2 punch, and that should do a good number for the price action here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think my final conclusion on the way that things are going to go today is, I think you have to get a 25 basis point hike. I think that's kind of a given at this point. It really just comes down to how hawkish Jerome's going to be, and I personally think he's going to be rather hawkish. Our thumbnail suggests that he could potentially be dovish. That's not at all how you should interpret that. We're playing with that idea. We're exploring that idea. Is there a potential for Jerome to be dovish? Well,
and I think that's really important, because a lot of people here's a mistake that I think a lot of people have made. I've made this mistake before. A lot of people read a headline, they read a title, they look at a thumbnail, and they expect, oh, that's what that video is all about. It's really important to actually watch and read articles and watch videos and to see what people are actually trying to say. But the thing is another mistake that a lot of people make. They just buy into one narrative, and then they just grip it with a they grip it with this ironclad squeeze that they refuse to think of any other possibility. And so while it's very, very, very well collaborated that people think that we're going to go super hawkish here, a lot of people are expecting Jerome Powell to continue to kind of get up on that podium and try his very hardest to keep the economy from going too highly as he's trying to tackle inflation. There's a lot of times where things don't go the way we think they're going to go. We've made that mistake before in crypto. We've made predictions before that people were going to come out either super bullish or bearish, hawkish or dovish. Numbers are going to be good or bad. And then we get surprised. And then when you're surprised, but you haven't even considered the potential of what you weren't thinking was going to happen is going to happen, then you don't have a plan for it. And I think it's very important that every single person, when you're looking at investing opportunities, you are prepared for the best, you are prepared for the worst, and more than likely it's going to be somewhere in the middle. But every now and then, like, just look at this most recent run we've had for Bitcoin. How many times during this whole process were we looking at things like RSI, were we looking at things like oscillators, or were we looking at things like Luxalgo, and we were saying, oh, overextended, and then it just kept going up to the upside. Would it have been okay if you had taken profit somewhere around here? Actually, I think so. If you had taken profit at 21,400, but you had bought in down here at 16,000, that's a good trade. That's a good opportunity. Did you get the maximal? No. But there's things that happen sometimes where, yes, you can have all the right things playing for you. You can say, oh, we're overextended to the upside. It's time to reverse. And the opposite ends up happening. My point here is continue to educate yourself. Continue to listen to diverse opinions. Don't just read a cover or read a title and make an assumption on what the person's trying to say. Continue to dig in deep and make yourself ready for any type of opportunity to come, because guess what? That's the world of crypto. Volatility, unpreparedness. It's just a thing that happens in crypto. We talked about that with Cardano. One of the things that people hate about Cardano is because it goes into these like sleep-like places with the price action, and then out of nowhere it just explodes. But if you were prepared at all times for best case and worst case scenarios, those are the people that end up benefiting off of these crazy rallies, like what we've seen in the past with Cardano, we've seen with Solana, we've seen even Bitcoin's had some crazy. I remember sitting there. By the way, like, this is a little story time. I think we're kind of done with our content for the day. Story time. I was sitting there with Jeb. You guys know Crypto Jeb. This is before I was even working for him. Fall of 2020, as Bitcoin got to 20,000, which is a former all-time high. And I remember sitting here with him. He's been in it for a while. He's like, oh, this is cool. It's matching all-time high. We're probably going to reverse. And then it just keeps going to the upside. And then it's just like, I remember it's like every single week, it was like Bitcoin just kept doing this new thing that nobody thought it was going to do. And then finally it started to slow down here, and I think it was like April of 2021. But the point is, that is the world of crypto. People think they have it all grasped. They think they know what's happening next, and then they get surprised. So if you just go ahead and prepare yourself for anything is possible, I'm going to have a plan for any scenario. That's what's going to set you up for a very, very long life of success in the investing field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Getting a nice little dose of wisdom there. And also, my father, Steve Shrum, has dropped double chats from 2 different accounts, and both of them said, thanks, guys, for a great show. Yes. And Shroom in the room. Yes, he also said that. So
yeah, Stephen E. Shrum and Steve Shrum, Papa Shrum. Thank you so much.
We love it. We love it.
You know, earlier, so we're kind of wrapping the show up now. It's going to be kind of done talking about crypto until we hear from Jerome Powell here. Someone asked earlier, I think Freedom Advocate asked you earlier what your workout routine was.
Yeah.
He said, I want to hear Tim's too. I just started this last week. So I went from a split where I was doing 4 lifts a week. And then like the other days, I just kind of like do something like active rest, like go for a walk, do some stretching, stuff like that. I just switched up to a 6-day format. And I'm telling you right now, with this job that I have, the reason I'm a little low energy this morning, and I do apologize, is the last 2 days have kicked my butt with some stuff I'm working on. But it has been a very nice break to get out to my garage. I got a garage gym and hit the weights to relieve some of that frustration. But my new stretch, and we talked about before, we want to help you guys be successful in all areas of life. We talk about this in Discord. We have a channel all about health and fitness. If you're looking for a good split to relieve some stress, what I have going on is I'm a big believer in compound lifts, and those 3 compound lifts that my body can do without I like overhead press as well. I can't do it because of my shoulder, but bench, squat, and deadlift. It's all about improving and growing those. Those are compound lifts, meaning your entire body has to be utilized while doing them. I kind of split those up, and then in between I have a secondary day where I do more like what's it called? It's more like a pump day, so like higher reps. A lot more movements to move some of the smaller muscles in there, but it's been really fun. Last night kicked my butt. It was a high count squat day, so a lot of like 12 reps with different squat variations, and my legs are feeling it this morning. That might be why my energy is a little bit low.
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
Well, you still brought the wisdom, you still brought the energy, and luckily, Army Piper was able to bring the TA, do a little bit of the heavy lifting there, take a little bit of weight off the shoulders of our TA great over there, TA Tim.
Yes. Well, guys, it is 10 o'clock. That means we're going to go and wrap up today's stream. But make sure you stay tuned. I will be working, so I don't know. Are you going to be shooting it here, T-Shroom? Yeah. Are you going to go home? Maybe I'll make a pop-in. Maybe I'll have a break in work, and I'll come in and pop in. So I'll get everything set up here. But I have some assignments got to do. Make sure you stick around this afternoon for that Jerome Powell announcement, because that will be key. In case you miss it, in case you have work and you're not going to be able to get to it, we'll talk and break it down again tomorrow morning. We go live every single Monday through Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure, if you are not subscribed already, you are subscribed to the channel and you don't miss a single upload. If you also have not smashed that like button yet, I know there's a couple of you, because we got over 90 people watching with only 87 likes, which means probably, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, there are 12 of you who have not smashed that 4-fingered mitten. Go ahead and do it on your way out. We love you guys. We'll see you this afternoon. Have a great day.